I will look back and the circles have themes. They're like, they completely are something larger than the individual people. They take on this life of their own. It's like so many things in life. You just kind of set the container, but then you got to just be happy to let it go. And it grows, it turns into something. And then I can't tell you how many times I've sat back and I was like, whoa, I couldn't, can we cuss on here? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck yes.
I couldn't have done that if I planned it. I couldn't have, and it just happened. It wasn't me. It was all of us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Self-Consciousness Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Way, intuitive consultant and part-time bird watcher. I am so happy that you're here. I'm always happy that you're here. If you're new to our show, we love to kind of break down spirituality in all of its forms, to break through all the BS. And this happens to be the second part in my series about feminine rising. Where I'm bringing in speakers and women who are really putting divine feminine into action. They are building projects, they are creating things, they're creating containers, they're creating companies, they're creating instruments. So I am so incredibly happy to welcome Caryn MacGrandle to the show today. Caryn is the creator, and I'm going to read this so I don't botch it. She's the creator behind the Divine Feminine app, an online community since 2016 that has been connecting women, all genders, in circles, events, and resources. If you combine the number of years of experience that the users of the Divine Feminine app have in doing the mother's work, you would be back in time to a society that valued the earth and the mother, recognizing that we are all her children and must work together as such. Caryn works tirelessly each day to regain this balance and promote sacred circles. She's participated in numerous online and location events such as the World Parliament of Religions in September of 2021, in which she presented a workshop on embodying the goddess, creating rituals with mind, body, and soul. Caryn and I have this amazing conversation about what sacred circles are, how you can find one near you using the Divine Feminine app. And Caryn is also providing a 180 days of access to add featured events, profile, and resources on her Divine Feminine app. Listen for that code later in the show. So to all of you listeners, you can just go on to the divinefeminineapp.com and you can even download it where you download all of your apps. So get ready for this conversation. It was so much fun. I'm in my element when I'm talking about Divine Feminine or with other people who are working in Divine Feminine. So this is a really fun episode. I'm so excited that you're here. So come on in and spend some time with us. And I hope you enjoy yourself. Caryn MacGrandle, welcome to the Self-Consciousness Podcast. Yay! I'm going to give you my own awkward round of applause. Caryn, you are the creator of the Divine Feminine app, amongst other things. Would you please introduce yourself to the Self-Consciousness Podcast listeners and let us know a little bit about your app and your journey and kind of how you decided to do this. That was a really horrible intro. I'm really do this again.
We just had the conversation, but it's okay to mess up. It was perfect. It was
so
fine.
I'm going to leave this in, everybody. I mean, you know better by this point, but I do want to explain to us first what the Divine Feminine app is.
Okay. So, and we were talking a little bit, before you hit the record button, but that's kind of parallels in our experience. 9-10 years ago, I found myself on dysfunctional marriage number 2, child number 4. I was 42 and I had gotten pregnant, sort of just passed my husband in the hallway and whoa. And I I had moved around a lot and found myself in Chicago and just, had the thought that if I don't meet like-minded people, I'm going to lose my mind. So I started a mother's group and met a friend. It was kind of a granola bar hippie mother's group. I'd come from California. My first husband was California was what ruined you. I'm like, no. um,
Added to
so
the journey, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Enriched the journey.
Exactly. I went to school in Austin. Austin has a motto, keep Austin weird. And I
That's
love
right.
the word weird. I love the word weird. So
Yes.
I've grown into it and settled into it. And through this friend, she introduced me to the concept of women's circles. She was doing a universal dance of peace. She said, "Do you want to have a circle on in a around a fire pit on a full moon?" In November of 2016, I believe, was the first circle that I had with her and another woman, and I fell in love. There was something ancient and that just, I think Clarissa Pinkola Estes said, like, your cells know. Well, my cells knew I needed it. I'm an extroverted introvert, so I need my peopling, but at the same time, I find chit chat and small talk and a lot of the things that people talk about in ordinary life just is whatever. So circles to me became a way to connect with other people, a social outlet, but in addition, one that has a lot of senses to it. I'm a very sensual person. I grew up as a Catholic, and I would love the stained glass, the incense, the music. The priest would open his mouth and I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? I don't even
Way to kill the
understand. And
mood, bro.
yes, I know. When I did understand, I didn't so much agree with a lot of it. But yeah, so I just really fell in love with the idea of circle, and I also fell in love with its potential to heal yourself and heal the world. I cannot tell you, in the 9 years that I've been doing this, I am such a different person. I've really learned to like look deep and find my own answers, and just get really much more clear on who I am. And I've watched the magic. Magic is an overused word, I think, nowadays a lot, but it is magic. I've just watched people come into a circle and change, just incredibly. And I think it's something we all need. We all need, especially right now, coming out of COVID in the last 2-3 years we've had, that we need to all get back in front of each other and form these small communities. It's an awesome vehicle for that. And I've gotten to this point where I host them weekly at a public place. And I've got a very simple outline that I follow. And then I try to bring everybody in. And it's not me standing at a pulpit or some sort of, it's all of us sitting in a circle and sharing and bringing our gifts to that circle. And I think that's where we're at too in the world, is we're finding out, we already know, we know what we need to do. We know our next steps. Circle is a way to kind of find those.
Yeah. Oh, this is so exciting. I started a circle a couple of years back because I felt the same sort of need. Like I just needed a group of people around me. I needed to meet regularly. I needed us to talk and eat like good food. Of course, there was food involved, but it was just a great way for us to kind of express uh whatever was happening in our lives. And I feel like we did it consistently for about a year, and we all moved into such beautiful places after that. And it's like you can track the sort of, it's that network, that support system, that almost like a wheel. It's like when you were just describing it, that's just kind of what I was picturing, like just a wheel with all the spokes. And that's how we come together and see each other, see ourselves.
Yes, and I do think it is cyclical and it is ebb and flow. I've learned so much over the last 9 years, and I started off thinking, okay, I want people who are going to commit and they're going to come every time, and we're going to, and I quickly kind of realized that it's like most things in life. The more you try to control it, the more of a freaking mess it becomes. And so when I sat solidly in I believe in this. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm committed to holding the rim of this this, and then I'm just going to let everything fall into place. I actually had an incredibly beautiful circle that lasted like 10 or 11 months, and it fell apart. And I was kind of I was kind of responsible for it falling apart. It was kind of a really bad experience that I messed up, you know? And I just realized that I'm not going to beat myself up. And sometimes in hindsight, I see the reasons things have happened. I see like these cycles that things go through and the lessons that I've learned. And I think I'm very solidly off. Doing this for 9 or 10 years, I see a lot of, courses and certificate, and you should do this and you should host it this way. And I don't, ascribe to any of that, because just like the divine feminine, we change, and we just need to listen and be guided and carve out that space for us to come together.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm like, ugh. It gives me chills. I'm like, oh, this is so talk to me a little bit about how the idea for the app came about and kind of like how you birthed that, you know?
Well, so right around the time I was struggling, my second husband was out of work, and he went back to work temporarily for a company that did computer apps, ironically. And we had created our own company. He was running that, and it was working on computer apps as well. And when I started getting into this, I was looking for a local place, and I had a difficult time finding one, which is another reason I started hosting them.
Yeah.
And I thought there needs to be some way to find these. There needs to be some sort of directory that you can find when you're interested in this, that you can find it. And I would see like Facebook groups where someone would talk about meeting in a circle, and they would say, "Oh, that sounds incredible. Where are you?" And then there would be 100 comment thread. "I'm in Las Vegas. I'm in California. I'm in New Jersey." And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're never going to meet up. Sorry, never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I just started it. I thought, this is something that needs to be, and I started it. And honestly, it was just like, the journey of 1,000, steps starts with that first one. I just did a little bit each day, and every time, I mean, I have put so much money and time and passion into this over the years, and I've quit 5,000 times, and I've been tapped on the shoulder 5,001.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't even
Yeah.
think about nowadays, it's kind of taken on this life of its own. It's running it's sustainable now. In the beginning it was not. But I came to this point where I would say, "What are you doing, Caryn? This is stupid. Are you insane? What are you doing? Stop this." And then somebody would send me an email that said, "I found this group because of you. This means a lot, what you're doing." Or something like that would happen. And I'd say, okay. And then I finally got to the point where I just said, "Okay, I get it, Mom." you know, I get it. You give me an open window, you give me an open door, and I'll walk through it. I'll crawl through it. I'll, as long as there's a way to keep going, and that's what I'm feeling you want me to do, I'll keep going. So I'm now at the point, and I run into people all the time who are like, "Oh, divine feminine app, I know that." It's gained a lot of acknowledgement, and I have so many people who support the concept and have known about it for years, and at the same time it hasn't had a lot of use. It's been something that people go to and see if there's something in the area, and then that's it, or they put in their circle or whatever, and that's it. So we changed that, and this has been over the last few months, where what right now, and this has kind of been something that came to me as we're coming out of COVID, and as we've been talking about, I feel this strong belief that people need to get away from their computers, away from online, away from their house, and get back in front of people. It's time. So that's what
100%.
we've been promoting, our local events. So now what we have put into effect is, when you put a local event on the app, it has to be featured, and I've given everybody that lovely promo code Jennifer Y to get on the featured, to get your
Oh
events
yeah.
featured. Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We'll do that
We'll
later,
go into
but
that. Yeah. Like
um,
promo codes. I love this language. I don't know
yes.
how to do it, but tell me.
And it's not very expensive anyhow. It's like $3 a month right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But what happens is, we take everybody that's in the area, in that local area, and we send an email on Tuesdays, any newly entered or any upcoming within the next 13 days, because I love the number 13.
Yes.
Are put in an email, and on the bottom of the email, because I know still a lot of people don't have anything in their area or still have reasons they can't get out and commit to certain things or get to places,
Yeah.
there are a ton of incredible virtual online events as well.
Yeah.
And I use that all the time because my schedule is always changing. And then I think, oh, I got this night open. What's going on? And I'll go over and look at the virtual online events and find something incredible to attend and hop on and meet some incredible people.
Oh my God. I have to do that. It's funny because this is just also fabulous. I joined a circle once that was virtual, and I think it was around COVID. And it was very I don't want to be judgmental, but I will be. It's like it was very kind of like California, and it was kind of skewed younger. That's kind of all I need to say. and then and then we get on this call and there's like 300 people on the no, it was like there was a lot of people on that call. It was like 300 people. And there
Wow.
was a lot of just talking at people, and there wasn't a lot, and like they silenced everyone's microphones like immediately. And then I'm just kind of like, why am I here? Like, am I here to follow someone on Instagram? Like, that's what it felt like. And I was
Yes.
just like, I like instantly regretted it. And I started, I mean, for me, I'm also like really sensitive to that, but I was like, there has to be a better way than this sort of mass kind of like commercially sort of. So how do you keep it sort of grassroots? Like, how does it
That's
stay?
what, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we're getting away from that. And I think I'm a big believer in, unfortunately, there is a lowest common denominator. And at the time that things become wildly popular, they also lose something, you know?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that has amazed me doing this is I've met so many incredible women the world over who have been doing this work for 20, 30 plus years, and it amazes me that this was pre-internet, email, pre all of
Yeah.
this. They know each other. It's like this web, this like this web,
Yeah.
that it's just amazing that I run into everybody. We're connected, and I you're able to keep this small feeling to something that is very important, but still, have it be a small personal connection. Again, nothing beats getting with a few friends that are like-minded and meeting in an actual physical circle.
Yeah.
At the same time, I have friends all over the world that, I hop on and I'm just like this,
Mhm.
we think, the same, and that's, priceless.
Yeah. No,
come
I
to
agree.
come to the app and look through the
I
virtual.
know.
I don't want to be like a cheesy, sell it, but honestly, what you just described, you won't find on the Divine Feminine app. You
Yeah.
won't. There's a red tent coming up by a friend of mine, Caitlin Ilya Wolf. She's out of North Carolina, and I hop on
Yes.
that, and there's 2 to 5 people.
That's
You
perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean it's something that you can actually make a personal connection with, and to me that is one of the parts of Sacred Circle, is we're there to connect. We don't want, and I'm not taking away. There's something to large gatherings where somebody's at the front teaching,
Mhm.
but I don't think that's what this time is for, and I don't think that's what the Divine Feminine is for. It's for a much more personal, embodied, intimate, casual, just something where we all connect that way more.
Yeah. So so you had sent over like the sort of guidelines for having a sacred circle. And I think you kind of went into it a little, but can you talk a little bit more about kind of how that list evolved, and maybe like how it started and like how it looks now?
Well, I've just like anything on this topic, it's been borrowed and molded and contributed by everybody.
Mm.
I think one of the original ones I got is an organization called gatherthewomen.org, which I was intricately involved with for years. And they had, some of the basic tenets that I have on that. But I've run into them so many times, and it's kind of like what you said. Now you actually see it kind of mass populate, the saging and the
Yeah, right.
directions, and everybody's,
Yeah.
but yeah, it they're just tenets that kind of remind us to listen to each other, to really take deep breaths and be very present and mindful, to get into our right brain, not our left, textbook linear teaching, but our right brain, where we're really listening and feeling and sensing and dancing or singing, or just more
Yeah.
embodied.
Yeah. Are you an activist? Is there
I
any
would
involvement?
love to claim that word. I really would. And yes, I'm an activist in that, I promote all these people who do incredible work. I know green tent is something that's come up. I see like all these organizations that are starting to incorporate my personal feeling and the way that I've seen the circles I've been involved with evolve. When I started, it was much more of a uh, kind of, oh, my husband and my mother-in-law are driving me crazy. And we'd sit there and, try to work. I don't want to say vent because they're not therapy, but
Yeah.
we would be working on these personal issues.
Mhm.
And nowadays, the circles that I host and participate in are way more, how do we navigate through this new world that's being created and that has happened, and how do we live a healthy life, how do we use the tools that are out there, and you know we all need to think beyond ourselves. We all need to think beyond ourselves. So again, yes, I go to marches and protest and stand up for the things I believe in, and talk to people about things I see that I disagree with, and other things I agree with. And it's important. It's very
Yeah.
important.
That's really interesting that the circles have kind of gone from that sort of almost like a very personal kind of a thing to more of like a community minded or like globally minded type of.
Well, they evolve as
So
I evolve.
interesting.
And that's
Yeah.
and I also think it's completely a matter of, you attract where you are. I have watched, and again, I had this thing happen. It was so freaky weird. In Illinois, when I first started hosting, there would be like, once I let go of that control of, oh, I need it to be the same people all the time and whatever, I would look back and I would see that it happened like 4 or 5 different times. I would have two people come in, and then there'd be some other scattering people, whatever, but there'd be two main people and me, and they would have like complementary issues, like the same issue, but like a different side of it or something. And we would work through it like in a period of 10 months or whatever. And, and,
Yeah.
and then they would just like disappear or kind of fade off or go and then come back, or and it was this beautiful coming together. I was just talking to a friend yesterday who was talking about auras, and he was saying, he's talking about the machines that measure them nowadays. I'm like, I don't need a freaking machine to measure my aura, whatever. Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's measure
but
it. Yeah.
but the point being is, he was talking about, oh, and by the way, I now have men in they're sacred circles now. They're not women's
That's great.
circles.
That's
and
really
and,
great
and
to hear.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And again, it's evolved, and I definitely think there is a place for women's circles. I'm not saying that
Of
that
course.
there is a definite place for circles that jive with who you are and what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But the ones I'm doing are sacred circles, and I invite in all genders to it.
Yeah.
And he was saying how much he's enjoying it, and he was kind of surprised by it. He missed the last one, and he was saying, I really missed it. I didn't even realize how much I was going to miss it.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about auras, and he said, that all of our auras meld when we're in there. And it's true. I think when you come together with this intention of healing yourself and the world and inspiring and connecting and love and open-heartedness, and you've got other people sitting in this room who are on the same wavelength,
Yeah.
it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah. You're like affecting the field, and
Yes.
everyone's
Yes.
field is affecting everyone else's field. And when there's
Yes.
a unifier, this is why I love that sort of those guidelines so much, because especially coming from a sort of, and I've trained and I've certificated all over the place. There's like shamanic stuff that I've studied, there's even like psychological stuff that I've studied, but it really kind of summarizes all those things perfectly, because it is a matter of kind of coming into your body, really feeling into the field, accessing your emotional body as well, your auric field, your light body, or whatever we woo woo people like to call it. And to have that sort of rub up against someone else, and but also be almost attuned together. It's really like it's kind of like it's like a band. Like you sort of get into that sort of, freestyle, or I don't know, jam for a little while, but it's that sort of vibration that everyone's bringing in. And yeah. Oh,
That's a great metaphor. And I really do believe that it's learning a different way to communicate and talk, because I think, historically we'd fight for the floor. If you're extroverted, if you're shy or introverted, you just, let somebody else talk. And circles are something where you try to share that. You try to get everybody to participate and everybody to talk. And sometimes, the most shy introverted person, when you give them that space, they come up with the wisest stuff.
yeah.
And it's amazing to me. I've had to learn. I actually, and I still do this every once in a while, would keep a piece of paper, and because I always have things I feel like blurting out. I just want to add. I want to add. I'm so excited about what's going on. I want to add, but I've learned to just listen 100% until the circle comes around and it's my turn. And the most amazing thing is, a lot of the times, by the time it's come back around to me, somebody else has said it, or it's changed what I want to say. And I will look back, and the circles have themes. They're like, they completely are something larger than the individual people. They take on this life of their own. And when you set that container with those guidelines and then just let it go, it's like so many things in life. You just kind of set the container, but then you got to just be happy to let it go. And it grows, it turns into something. And then I can't tell you how many times I've sat back and I was like, whoa, I couldn't, can we cuss on here? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck yes.
uh,
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that if I planned it. I couldn't have, and it
Yeah.
just happened. It wasn't me. It was all of us creating
It's
something
the
beautiful.
it's sorry. It's
Okay.
like this it's this resonance, it's this magnetism that brings it all out. And it's so true. And I think it's funny because I've also it's the same but different sort of thing. And I've noticed this with other people who do like psychic readings and things kind of similar to me. We'll realize that there'll be a time period where all of our clients are asking the same
Mm,
questions or having the same issues, and it'll be like highlighted, and we're like,
yes.
whoa. And sometimes it's even the issues that we're having.
Yes.
So it's like there'll be like a mommy issue. Like for me, there'll be like a mom thing, and then every client for the next like 3 weeks is like always talking about like having an issue with their mother or something. So it's
I
this
see that a
strange.
lot. I see that a
Yeah.
lot. That we're all kind of driving on the same thing. And I think that's also where the world is right now. And I think where I've had this conversation with a couple of friends too, that I just feel like I'm changing so much lately. I mean, just like at warp speed to how I used to learn and change. Now it's like, morning I'm one person, nighttime I'm a different person. And
I
it's
know.
incredible, scary, exciting, incredible, all of
Yeah.
these things. But we more so need each other when we have all of this change and
Yeah.
exciting, challenging
Yeah.
things going on.
And like what a wonderful thing to release into, to surrender to, because it's
Yes.
like it's almost like the antidote to anxiety.
Oh,
in a way,
huge.
it's like that whole thing with when you were saying about like building the container and like I always, I'm like, so like loosey goosey, I'm sure, whatever. I'm like I'm low maintenance, which is like not true. And I realized through those circles that I'm such a control freak when it comes to them. Like I wanted very specific things and very specific. And as I plan my own, it's kind of like, I'm still trying to remind myself, like, it's okay. It's not gonna be what you think it is. Like, don't hold on to it so tight. So this is like,
That's so funny. I think we're kindred souls in that, because I was the same way. I'm just the most laid back, easygoing person. What are you talking about?
you know,
And at
you're both
53, I'm realized I'm not. I'm really not.
okay. We can embrace it. It's
Yes,
okay.
I try. I'm trying hard to
I mean,
play
that's another thing,
nice.
like you were talking about before. It's like it's also this like the idea or ideal that's projected on women to not be control freaks and to like, we're cool with it because like we can let the world happen to us. Sure, patriarchy, whatever. We're cool with it. We don't want to make a fuss. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. So,
Well, and I
like,
know I
yeah,
had a boss who put in a reference letter, quiet perseverance. And I was so proud of that. I was like, quiet perseverance, it means like I just don't have the freaking vagina to stand up and say what I want,
can we
No,
say
I'm
that
going to
more?
put you back on path because this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be quiet about
I'm
it.
gonna
I'm
be
not going
quiet.
to actually, So yeah, those days are over. I
It's
think
so
that we
true.
have to step into, I had a friend too on a call the other day because I was going on about how, you know, I was going on about everybody bringing something to the table, and I really do try to do that. But I also have a very definitive picture of what I believe circles should be, and I'm
Yeah.
very strong about holding the rim for that.
Mhm.
That I want to.
Perfect.
It's not just something to chit chat. It's not a social bake club or
Yeah.
Tupperware party or
Yeah.
whatever. It is something more than that, and it's important to me to keep that in place. And she was like, just quit the bullshit, Caryn, and just say that you're a leader instead of like, and that's, I think that's part of where we
True.
are now too. It's okay
Yeah.
to be a strong woman. It's okay to be a leader and stand up for these things that you believe in. And it
Yeah.
doesn't need to take away from what other people believe in. We'll just,
Exactly.
you know, pair up with and attract those people that are on our wavelengths that we,
Exactly. You
yeah.
don't
And
have to worry about being pushy or anything. Yeah.
I do, going back to what you said about anxiety. Most definitely, yes. I have had anxiety issues since in my 20s. My father, I got married, my first thing in front of my mom and my dad, and he dropped dead of a heart attack 4 days later.
Oh
I
God, I'm
moved
so
up to North
sorry.
Dakota. Thank you. It's been 25 years, but
Oh,
but
yeah.
I moved up to North Dakota, was in a sales job, had just gotten married, and lost my crap. I've had anxiety issues since then, to the point that I could have been in a agoraphobic who never left the house. I mean, that's how bad my panic attacks and anxiety have been over the years.
Yeah.
And again, circle is a way that I have learned. When I started them, as I said, when I got pregnant on my fourth, I really was at a place where I wasn't thriving anymore. I didn't have that joy unless I was drunk, you know?
Same.
Yeah. So,
Or the kind of drink that you smoke.
right,
Right there
right,
with you.
right. Yeah. Nowadays
Yeah.
it's that. So, I had to learn, and circle was a place that I could set aside my armor and just relax with other people. And that was one of the first things that I ever did socially
Mhm.
without any mind altering substances,
Yeah.
that I could relax and really truly feel recharged from. And nowadays, I've had so many incredible circles under my belt and in my experience, that I just set up the container, and again my cells are like, oh, I'm home. you know
I can feel it just by hearing you talk about it.
mm.
Yeah. It's such a so as my mind is going a million miles an hour, I wanted to ask you, is there any space, do you feel like there's any space for circle. And I love that. I have to say, I love that men are involved. I've definitely seen and heard a lot of men's circles, and I think it's really needed for them to bring out their own sort of communal feminine, internal feminine into play, and really understanding what that means for themselves and their own healing. Um, do you feel like there's a place for circle in the business world? And has it something that you've considered sort of, or is there any? Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I am, I'm working at a convenience store down the street from me, just part-time, but just because as I get my app more smoothed out, this is a way I know my basic bills are paid.
Yeah.
And it's also, I gotta be honest with you, I get a kick out of it. It's like this
I
little
love
small
that.
town with all these small town Alabama country folks. And
Yeah.
I just, but I see, I've been in the corporate world in and out for so many years, and I see all the corporate, they just put in an automated machine, to an automated teller machine to this small town. These 85-year-old women are coming up like, "Ugh," like there's, and they're forcing us to use this stupid machine,
Yeah.
like because they paid $35,000 for it. Now they want to use, and it can replace an employee. Come on, you got to use
Oh,
it
jeez.
to train the customers to use it. And it's one of those things that's great in theory, but the reality is, you've got to slowly let the people use it who want to use it, but don't, and I'm watching these unhealthy ways that the management is like treating the rest of the people like a 5-year-old. And I even had this discussion with the district manager person. I'm like, those days are over. They are over. You cannot treat people like that. Your most valuable asset is your people. And the woman I work with, who knows everybody's name, and she knows what cigarettes they want, and she talks to them when they come in, and it makes us as human beings feel better.
Yeah.
You don't feel good when you sit in front of your stupid computer all day in your PJs and then go do the day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not healthy. It's really not.
Yeah.
And so we have to incorporate this in all aspects of our life. And ultimately a healthy existence is when people have learned these tools. With my second husband, some of the best times we had at communicating is I would make us use a talking stick. And he very much was somebody who would just, like when he got upset, and you couldn't get a word in. I was like, okay, we're going to use this. And when I have this, you're going to listen. And then I would pass it to my teenage son and we would listen to him. And then we'd pass it to my husband at the time and we would listen to him. And everything shifted. Everything shifted
Oh,
from an instance where you just have one person yelling and these other people, ooh,
yeah.
but to
That's
really listen to
insane.
people, and learn how to communicate, learn how to listen. Heck yes. And you see it now. I see the concept of circles making its way into the corporate world and into politics. Oh my God. You want to talk
Really?
about potential? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't remember who, but there was some, and of course everybody was laughing about it. The press was like, oh,
I know. Where
talking
are your
stick.
crystals? What's
Yeah.
what's the nonsense? Yeah, that's their go-to. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but I want to tell you that, I've been doing this for 9 years and I have gone to some events and I those feelings that the events they build over. And I'm not talking about a festival, I'm not talking about going to get drunk and watch this music. I'm talking about an event where you start with the people, you open up the container and travel with them over a few days and then close it. And what we have built in those events, I've had the feeling so many times. I'm like, if the whole world was like this, we would have no freaking issues at all.
Yeah.
I mean, just like this. Oh my God, if people understood that this is possible, oh my gosh, oh my goddess.
God, it really is the missing element of
Yes.
and it's like
And it's what we're doing right now. I
and
honestly
it's
believe that's what
yeah,
the world is doing. That's what Mother Earth is doing,
yeah.
is bringing this into balance. And that's why men especially white men. You can't leave white men behind. Yeah, they've been, in charge for the last 4,000 years, but we still want them with us, so
Yeah.
everybody's got to learn a new way of being and interacting and
Yeah.
communicating, not just women and other cultures, everybody.
Absolutely. I I'm like I'm always like, though, the guys just need to like do it on their own. Like, can you guys I'm still in a bitter phase. I'm kind of like, can you guys like just not depend on us for solving your emotional issues?
Well,
But
and
turn
that's
around.
why I said, my app, the Divine Feminine app, is not just for women, it's for all
Yeah.
of us. I sat in a divinely male church for years. We all
Yeah.
have the Divine Feminine in us. At the same time, the events themselves are directed to who they're directed at. Yes, there's a place for women's circles. Yes, there's a place for Black, directed at African Americans or Indians or
Yeah.
Native Americans or whatever, because that's okay.
It's
It's okay
important.
to,
Yeah.
right.
People
Yes.
need that. And I'm keep coming back to this, like just really small circle, and so we can actually feel our interaction with other people, and because we're so desensitized through,
I had to change that
social.
too, because when I
Yeah.
started, I thought, oh, this isn't working and I'm not good at it unless there's 10 to 15 people,
Yeah.
And then I realized I don't really like 10 to 15 people. The best circles I've sat in are 3 to 5, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Karen, this has been so amazing. Can you explain the code that you're giving everybody?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So if you go to thedivinefeminine.app.com,
Hmm.
it isn't, that's the website. And from the website, you go to log in and you'll see first time user and you can register quick, easy, and free. All you do is put in your email and your location, and that's it. Now, then you log in. When you log in, you'll see on the top right, it says upgrade membership. Or if you try to go to the resources or the profile section, it will say, members. Click on that, scroll down, put in the code Jennifer Y. So JenniferWai. I'm sure you will put it in the comments as well.
Yes, I will. I'll put it in the show notes. And if you guys are watching on video, I'll put it just down here.
Lovely.
There's my video.
And then
Um,
that will give you access to the resources. The resources has so many incredible things, like your
it's true.
podcast, like other podcasts,
Oh,
music, books, organizations, the profiles. You just scroll through there. And again, it's one of those things that you're just like, oh my God, look at all these awesome people. I'm not so weird, am I? There's lots of other
it's
people like me.
I've got it. So just everybody, it really is a wealth of information, of circles. I mean, I will say this. So I wasn't when I started on the app, I was looking for stuff that was like really close to me because I'm super lazy about I won't even go to Brooklyn and it's literally like 3 miles away. I'm like, no,
Yes,
it's
no,
too
I
far
understand
away.
that. It's
Yeah. Yeah, you're a
my
Jersey
ex
girl.
was from there. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. You don't go far.
You don't go far. So, but even if people come to the app and they're not like doing anything or whatever, I will say this, Karen, like to see and to scroll and to just read and to know that they're all there
It gives you
was
inspiration. It
it gives you
does. It
inspiration.
does.
It's the healthy app on my phone. It's the
Oh,
healthy app on my phone because there's obviously several unhealthy apps on my phone, which I've complained about a lot on my podcast, but this is one of the healthy apps on my phone. It's one of those apps where I don't feel a drain. It's one of those apps where I know that I'm going to find inspiration. I'm going to just feel better. It's like even though I'm tiptoeing my way in, I'm because I also have social anxiety and I'm, like empathic and I'm also extroverted introvert. The extroversion was like, sort of like an overcompensation for a little while, but there's definitely still the shy part of me. But sort of as I kind of look at all these circles and everything, it's still it almost like I feel like I'm in a community when I'm even just looking at them. So
Yes, and that was one of my intentions. It was one of my intentions that I wanted, when you look at that icon, to feel this good, juicy feeling,
That's
and
amazing.
I will have a crappy day and I'll go home and I have all these Google alerts set up for Divine Feminine and Sacred Circle and all these different things. And I will scroll through it. It'll just make me happy. It'll just
Yeah.
make me happy that we're all out there doing this work. And that's the intent with the app, is to kind of give us that net, so we feel it more, that we know that web is out there. And then I just put a quote up on there, I think yesterday or the day before. I did a workshop at the Midwest Herbal Conference, which is another incredible conference among many that are listed on there.
Yeah.
And the woman she had been thinking about it anyhow, so it's not like we need a whole lot. She already had everything she needed. She didn't get anything from my workshop that was, just like, oh, now I can do it. She got inspiration. That's what she got. And now in that was in May and August, she started a local circle. She's got 32 people who are participating. She regularly has about 10 show up. And you know what? That makes my fucking day to know that I help do that. That's the purpose of the app, is to help people do that, because it's important. It's really, really important.
It's so important. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
welcome.
for creating something that needed to be out there. Thank you for sticking with it. And thank you for just expanding this idea of circles and women's circles and really bringing divine feminine into form. Because yeah, here she is.
Doing my part with a lot of other incredible, incredible, incredible people who you can meet
100%.
on the app.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Caryn,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. So, are you an Instagrammer? So we
I,
just
you
go to
know,
Divine Feminine app?
yes, I have an Instagram account. I confess I don't use it except to like
That's
post
okay.
every couple weeks. And there is a Motherwell section on the app where
Love the
we had just
Motherwell.
talked about Lucy Pierce.
Yes.
It's not, that's my other problem with social media, and I understand it. It's still, I met so many people, but it's become this self-promotion tool. And so that is not what the Motherwell is to lift other people up or just spread information. And so I'm on Facebook too, but I confess I try to stay away as much as
Yeah,
possible. So
I think that's healthy.
yes.
I think it's
So
I think it makes
yeah.
total sense. I fully
Yes.
support that. Caryn, this has been such a pleasure and such a joy. I'm so happy that you agreed to come on the show.
Thank you. It's been wonderful talking to you. It's been really nice.
Yeah, you too.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice. The sound of one makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. The sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is